Well, we've made it. Another Tuesday night. Welcome everybody to Paranormal Chat Lost Limbs Foundation Network. So, are you gonna stay awake,
Yes,
Mike?
welcome. I know it's crazy. We've just been talking here. I've been yawning the whole night, so hopefully when Brad comes on, he doesn't be like, "Am I boring you?" It's like, no, just I don't. I think it's just way it's been so gloomy and stuff lately. I think it's just gotten me tired, and I don't know. So
We'll just let Brad yell a little bit, and he'll wake you up.
yeah, just have him do like an investigation and be like, "Hey," and then I'll wake up, perk
Yep.
right up,
Yeah.
and be alert. Scare me to
Of course,
death. I'll have a heart attack.
our eardrums will probably be bleeding, but so
Yeah, that's the truth. So how's Robin?
okay. It's good to be home finally after the long drive from Scarefest. With between tornadoes and monsoons and all that stuff. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Craziness. Yeah, it's some crazy stuff. It's a fun weekend though. I mean, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was. Scarefest was great. A lot of people down there. I think they had like 8,000 people down there, and everybody seemed to be pretty happy when they left there. Unlike the weekend before when we were up in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, it was interesting. Uh, Fun weekend though. I mean, like it was nice having the Mister Machine out again, and yeah, getting to hang out and all that good stuff. There's something in the background.
Background here.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
let me actually had the Ghost Lab series playing on Discovery Plus. I forgot to turn it off.
That's what it was.
So yeah, so yeah, watching the it just started season 2. So
Yeah.
and but yeah, I've been watching that off and on all day. So I forgot to turn that off. So it was picking up on that, I guess,
I
a
just
little
heard
bit.
it. I was like, wait a minute. I hear something else in the background.
That was probably Brad investigating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't it have been funny if, like, when we were talking, you talk about the yelling and then we just had the yelling right then?
Yeah,
Uh,
he yells market or something and mark time and but no, it's
yeah.
yeah, tonight's gonna be good. We've got Brad Kling coming in and it's the final of the 3 from Ghost Lab and Everyday Paranormal. So it'll be a good time. We're looking forward to that and hearing what Brad's
Yeah.
up to and what he's got going on with things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a fun night. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Maybe we can get the scoop on everyone else. Maybe he'll tell us some other tales about Barry and Katie.
Oh, I'm sure he will, especially since they're already been on, so he knows how to worry
Yeah.
about any repercussions from that. So
Yeah. So he can just give us the scoop and tell us all kinds of cool stories and all the good stuff.
yep,
Yeah, it'd be
that's
nice.
right. And
Yeah.
yep, for those guys who've been paying attention a little bit, what we've been doing. Once we get 10,000 likes on the Ashmore Estates page, we're going to add an extra $1,000 to the birthday event that we do, the fundraiser for Lost Sons Foundation. And actually, that's just less than 200 needed. It's really down to like 50. I need to change that, but yeah, it's like 50 is what we really need now. So it's
That's
going
awesome.
really well. So yeah, not too far
We can
away.
do it. We can do
Yeah,
it. It's almost there. We can do this.
yeah, 6 weeks
So
or so, and yep, so it'll be good. So yeah, need to get
yeah.
down to gather that 50.
Yes, everyone go follow that page. Help us out, and that'll help another $1,000 go to the charity on top of whatever's raised in December. And speaking of raising money, man, we got some signatures this weekend.
Yep, yeah, we did. Yeah,
Yeah,
it went well. I just changed
yeah.
that. It didn't save it though. Hmm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'll do it again.
it didn't want to
Oh,
change it. It wanted to leave it the way it was.
maybe I didn't hit save. Um,
Yeah.
let's see what this is now.
Let's see. The
And
moment of
the
truth.
magic
Here
number. Yeah,
comes.
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
There it
okay,
is.
good. It's yeah, less than 50. I think it was like 48 or something like that. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get that soon, and we can go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're good. But yeah, I mean, like what I was saying though, is like it's kind of cool. We got some more signatures on the cornhole tables, boards, whatever. Yeah, whatever, whichever you want to call it. So that was cool. And then you got a few other items donated as well, like over the weekend, right?
Yeah, we had that one sign for Camp Crystal Lake that was donated that you got Kane to sign it in. So So we'll have
Yeah.
that going on in February, and we'll probably put those out there so people can bid on them live. And I think we've got one game that we're gonna probably end up doing that one as well that Kane signed. So that'll be good too.
Yeah. Yeah, Kane was really cool because like when we got to him, he's always good about signing for the charity, and it was kind of cool. You know, we got over the table, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "No problem, I'll sign." So my sister and I were there, and he signs like what you got donated, the big sign that said Camp Crystal Lake, and then he's just like, find a picture that I've got plenty of and I'll sign a picture. It's like, okay, so grab a picture. We set it up there. He signs it. And then he had 2 Xbox games, the Friday the 13th game. And it's just 2 games just sitting there. And he's just like, hand me a game. And I was just like, all right. So I handed him the game and he's like, I'll sign one of these too. And I'll donate it. It's like, that's awesome. It's like, yeah, he just keeps adding things on there. So that was really cool and really nice of him. And it was awesome of everyone else signing everything and helping us out.
Yeah, I've got the boards is still the cornhole boards are still in the van, so headed to Wisconsin this weekend. So I'll have Barry sign them up there, and Brad's
Cool.
already signed it, so yeah, I'll have Barry sign up there. But speaking of Brad, he's in the house, so we should bring him in and get things going.
Sounds good.
All right, there he is, Brad Kling. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Just hanging out. How's things with you?
Oh, they're going good. We're really busy. I mean, between the regular job, it's like from 8 to 5 is the regular job. From 5 to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning is the everyday paranormal job, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of stuff that we're working on that's coming out soon, and working real hard on.
That's great. I mean, I know what that's all about too. Everybody always thinks that this is your full-time job. It's like with Ashmore Estates, they all think, I'll just call you and you can do this right now. And I'm like, I got the real job I got to take care of first, one that pays the bills.
Yeah, the only time that we were full-time ghost hunters when we were actually on Ghost Lab, that was our job at that point in time. That only lasted about 2 years.
And then you guys have been doing some other stuff right after that too. Kind of did some convention things, kept you busy. But
oh yeah, we've been at it. I mean, Ghost Lab's been off the air for about 10 years now, 11 years. And since the day it went off the air, we have not stopped. I mean, traveling around the world, we've been as far as Australia, doing events, haunted locations, writing books, doing the the Strange Curiosity series that I had done several years back, and just everything in between. And right now is our new podcast, which is it's kind of like, it's one of those deals where we've done so much over the past 10 years, and we really were trying to, I hate to say find our way, but just kind of find what we really wanted to do with it. It's like there's investigations and television. We figured out, we figured out a long time ago television probably wasn't for us, but we probably really recently, we really figured out that television wasn't for us. And, we hooked up with a group, Arclight Media, and they are big into not paranormal podcasts, but true crime podcasts. And they've won Emmys. They've won what's called the Davy Awards, which are like the Academy Awards for podcasting. And a friend of a friend, kind of a mutual connection, we got hooked up, and they're like, yeah, we like you guys. We like your investigative style. It's, it's kind of like true crime. It's investigation. And Barry and I started talking, and we started doing this podcast. We're like, yeah. And all we're doing is we're talking about everything that we've already done. How easy is that, but going really deep into it, because what people saw on Ghost Lab with us was only, 22 minutes of a location that was 3 days worth. So there was a lot that was left out. There was a lot that, we really wanted to kind of dive into, to talk about the investigation, how we got to certain places that, television is not just you walk in and ghosts fly around, you slap high five and you walk out. It's just not how it is. As Robin and Mike, doing these things.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes. Everybody thinks they're on cue. I've had people that have done Google reviews on us at Ashmore and said, "I've been there. I didn't see a ghost. I was there for 2 hours for a tour, and we didn't see a ghost. So that place isn't haunted."
Yeah, because they're the ultimate judge for the small smidgen of time in the universe that they were there. That it's not haunted.
Yeah, exactly. How long were you guys on the set for Ghost Lab in most cases?
On the set, well, we our longest shoot was 9 days, and that was Deadwood, and that was because they actually filmed that one in 3D, and that was something else because these giant 3D cameras, back then they were the size of like refrigerators, and they would have to it take forever to roll them in where they're going and set them up, and then you have to kind of do everything right in front of it, and then we moved to another room. They have to stop, pull it, set it up in the other room, and then you start again. So it took a lot of time, but typically 3 to 4 days, depending on the size of the location. And it's not just we probably were working good 16, 17 hours a day. I mean, from the time we woke up, to the time we got to the location and filmed and did all the interviews. And then when it stopped, we would do real-time analysis. So at the Ghost Lab, it was going on all the time, but there was still a lot that was left over from when we were done filming that we'd go back to the hotel and we'd watch and we'd listen, because the next morning we got up again. If there was something that we caught the night before, we wanted to go find it and talk about it or do it. So there was no rest for the weary on that. And, once you're done with what we did one location, I think it was a Pythian Castle there in Springfield and Missouri. And we literally stopped filming on the evening on the third day, got in the car, drove to the next location, which was in Kansas City, not too far, and then started filming again. And it was the longest day ever. I remember a bowling alley that we did in North Dakota. The bowling alley was open for business, and they have, bowling alleys, they have leagues, and the leagues go late, right? So we couldn't even get into the place until midnight. So we shot we showed up about 9, 10 o'clock at night and went to about 9, 10 o'clock the next morning. And then it was a 3-hour drive because that was when the oil boom was real big in that area, and there was no hotels in the area. So we actually stayed in Montana and drove 3 hours on a charter bus there and back and there and back for 3. I'd say it wears on you. People think that, being on TV must be glamorous. We were rubbing preparation H under our eyes just to keep our eyes from being all buggy.
So how much difference, like time wise, like for you guys, was it more so the crew, like when you were doing these 15, 16-hour days versus like Deadwood, and you were saying like the 3D stuff? I mean, was that, like how much more was that? Was there a huge difference between like what you were doing, in the normal episode?
You mean between what we were doing, what the crew was doing? What the crew?
Well, I mean,
crew
for you guys, like more for you guys, because I'm sure the crew was like way more. I mean, when they were doing Deadwood.
Well, the crew for 12 hours, they work 12 hours. They're like union, most of them. And it's like 12 hours. It's 11 to 11, 12 to 12 or whatever. And man, if it's getting close to that 12th hour, those producers are trying to get them in the car, get them back to the hotel because their overtime rates are, crazy. But no, they work very, very hard. I mean, they didn't stop in those 12 hours. I mean, they were, lugging those giant cameras and sound equipment. And we always filmed in the summer. So everywhere we went was just as hot as hell. And, they put in a lot of work, but the cool thing between us and the crew is that I've heard a lot of stories. Of course, I don't have a lot of experience with other TV shows that I've done and other crews. I haven't been on like 15 movies to understand different crews. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand is that we had a very close relationship and bond with this crew, more so than anyone else. I mean, I remember when we first met them, Shreveport Municipal Auditorium was our first episode. And, it was all new to us. And we showed up and we're at the hotel and all the crew gets there. And the producer has this little pizza party or whatever. And the crew kind of was staying off in the corner and they weren't talking to us. And we come around, they kind of would not talk to us. And we very nice said, "Hey guys, if we're going to do this, if we're going to be living on the road, for this long doing this with you guys have got to be our family. And, let's joke around and, just let's talk it up and have a good time. And they did. And, got to a point where it was our set was a party. It was really fun. We all got along, and we all went, sometimes we had breaks. We all go golfing together. We go out to the movies together. If we had a day off, we, hang out at the lakes or the beach, whatever was nearby. It was really fun with the crew. And that was another reason why when we filmed, since they knew us and we knew them, it was like a dance. We really, it really helped in the paranormal investigation to have them stay out of the way, but still be able to capture, the things that we needed them to capture. And they did a really good job.
I know from talking with some other, with a friend of mine who does still photography, for just use stuff for Disney. And he said a lot of times, probably with those production companies, aren't supposed to talk to the talent, which was you and, and Everyday Paranormal. And they're not supposed to talk to them. You're just supposed to go out there and do your job, and that's it. You can't communicate. In fact, the guy was telling me that somebody asked Sylvester Stallone one time for an autograph, and Sylvester Stallone fired the guy. Told him, get him out of here. Don't want him here.
See,
so
that's
probably
me,
what they're worried about.
Yeah, and to me, that's it, and we're not like that at all. I mean, us. We're
oh yeah.
It's like there's no way, because if you think about it, and even people that walk up and ask for autographs or a picture, they think they're bothering you. I mean, they're the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Sylvester Stallone, he doesn't look as good as he does in movies if it wasn't for this crew. And if I was him, man, I don't care if my signature got tens of thousands of dollars, whatever it is, I'd be signing all kinds of stuff. I'd probably be signing so much the value would go down because the market would be flooded with signatures and stuff. But it's to me, that's what they're there for. They're celebrities because of people and of the crews, and they owe their fancy lifestyles to those guys. So I don't agree with that. I definitely wouldn't be like that.
Well, and the crew hanging out with you so much too. I mean, they learn more about you. They learn about what you guys would want and expect when you're filming and stuff. So, I mean, you would think you would want them close to you.
Yeah, you have, like I said, as a dance. So, Barry and I are walking around these buildings, and you've been in these abandoned buildings, and you go down hallways and room to room, and they can't sit there and follow you from behind the whole time. They always have to be in your front. So we would go, we'd say, hey, we're going to go down to the, I don't know, the whatever, the ballroom or whatever, let's just say. They go, okay, we get to the door, they go in, we'd listen, they say, we're set. We say, okay, we'd walk in, we do our thing. We'd leave, we say, we're going here. They get hustle down there, they get set where they want to set. They say, we're all set, and we go. And it was like that. I mean, it was great. There was no downtime. There was no, anything. They were part of our crew. And that's what I also told them. I said, listen, you guys have some of the most expensive equipment out there, some of the most sensitive audio equipment, some of the greatest types of cameras. You have the best paranormal equipment that when we want to use it, and you're all over the place. So, and they had a real hard time, or the producers did in the beginning, about breaking that fourth wall, which the fourth wall is what they call in film they don't want the viewer to realize that you're being filmed by a film crew. They want the viewer to think that you're in there by themselves. And I don't know, people are be that dumb these days, but it's not true. And I said, guys, we're in a paranormal show. If you get something on your camera that we didn't get over here, you better believe you're getting on camera and you're talking about it. And they finally came around to that. And there's a couple episodes where they got some really cool stuff, and we got them on camera. Directors of photography who do this for a living, who will go on camera and say, that anomaly that happened, that's not a light anomaly. That's not this. These are professionals that know what video or whatever is supposed to look like, or audio is supposed to sound like. And for them to get on and say, I'm not a paranormal person, but I'm here to tell you that wasn't natural. That's gold to us. And we really wanted it. And we eventually got it.
That's cool. I was watching some of your episodes today, and one thing that I noticed, and I forget what location you were at, but you'll probably remember what it was, is you guys were doing some daytime stuff, which I've kind of been big, trying to chalk people to do a daytime investigation. But you guys were doing a daytime, I think it was at a fort or someplace where there was a storm coming through, and
Oh
you guys
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
that
check
was
everything out.
right down the road from us. That's La Bahia. That's right down the road from us here in San Antonio.
But did you guys do very much stuff during the day?
We did do a lot of stuff during the day. We did when Barry and I showed up. We would do the interviews, like they would, like all the people that we'd interview and stuff, they would bring them in first. And, so during the day was mostly us interviewing these people or, doing that kind of thing. But when we showed up to a location, we would show up fresh and we wouldn't really know what was going on, the stories or anything like that. So Barry and I would do what we call a scout. So they would film us walking through the place and trying to get some initial evidence, EVPs, whatever we could get, look around, see if there's anything interesting on the walls and, that might explain the story, whatever the case may be. But most of the time that was during the day. Maybe because of time's sake, that's fine, but it didn't matter. We didn't have to wait till it was dark or, the clock strikes midnight to do this stuff. This stuff happens all the time. That's why we named our group Everyday Paranormal. It's every day, every time, everywhere, everybody,
So, yeah, that's what was cool. I think, in fact, some of the I remember that episode there that there was a lightning strike, and you guys got an EVP right at the lightning strike. In fact, I think you laid on top of each other, and they, the graph showed it. Everything was right at that same time, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. We had done something like that in Tombstone as well because there was a lightning storm that came up Tombstone, and the whole place was lined with the silver mines that run over, and silver conducts electricity. Everything that we do is based on the law of conservation of energy, which you can create or destroy energy, but you can transfer it. All right, it was cool because am I good there? I look like I glitched out there.
Yeah,
for
you kind of locked up for a second there.
Okay, so La Bahia, yeah, the lightning strikes were in the area, and we said, you know what? There's so much lightning going on. Let's go to the National Weather Service and actually get a map of all the lightning strikes and the times. And they did, and we would go back to our EVPs, which were all time stamped, and look, and our EMF data loggers were all time stamped, and we'd see a lightning strike in this area correlates to this EMF, correlates to this EVP, and that one where we got that EVP was right on the millisecond of the EMF bump, which was the lightning strike. So pretty cool stuff.
That's kind of crazy to be able to graph it and touch it like that. Now you guys brought a lot of experts in on your shows, which I think is incredible to do. I mean, I don't think anybody else has really done too much like that. And did you guys set these guys up in advance, or did you find them after you got there that you knew what you needed, or how'd you come up with the experts? And I'm not talking about paranormal experts. I'm talking about the water experts, and the energy experts, and things like that, storm experts, and all that you had.
Depending on kind of where we were going, we really didn't know. We would get the evidence as we got it, and then we would make a hypothesis and a determination based on that. So a lot of times the production crew were making phone calls. We'd say, we got this kind of evidence. We need an astrophysicist, or we need an audio expert, or and they would be on the phone trying to find the closest person that they could get. And a lot of those people were very ad hoc. It was as we needed it. There was a couple. No, I mean, actually, I don't think there was one we actually set up. The John Wilkes Booth, we knew that we wanted to talk to the Wilkes the Wilkes Booth family. And so they set them up earlier, to end the conversation. But most of the experts, they were on the fly. And that's why we had, that was when Skype was kind of fresh back then. And we would actually Skype them, which was a lot convenient. You don't have to fly them out. You don't have to get a production crew to go film them. You could just Skype them and film them. And that's what we did a lot of times.
Something I wanted to ask you. I remember like the Gettysburg story that I believe got you into the paranormal field, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like I heard you talking about it before. Where, gosh,
I think it was filming the regiment.
Yeah.
Oh, so in Gettysburg, yeah. That's what I figured. That's what I thought you were going with that, but I'll let you finish your thought. I didn't want to
My
start on
chain of
something that
thought was
wasn't.
just not rolling right tonight for some reason. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that was back in 1990. There was really no such thing as a ghost hunter back then, and paranormal investigation. The only ghost shows I ever saw was like Unsolved Mysteries, and that they had a little segment on it or something. So I definitely was interested in ghosts. I like reading the true stories and stuff like that, but never, in my wildest dreams, when I walked, out in that field in Gettysburg with that VHS camera and saw that regiment walking through and filmed them, because I thought, hey, they're going to do a reenactment. Panned across, panned back, they're not there. And knowing this is the middle of the daytime, again, Robin, middle of the day, this around noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, bright sunny day in July, and not there. And that's when I was like, holy crap, this is my personal proof of the paranormal. No one for the rest of my life can tell me this stuff doesn't exist, because I know what I saw. And I always tell people that, you're not gonna truly be into or believe in this stuff until you've had an experience. Having faith in it is one thing, trusting other people is another, but having that holy shit moment is something all of its own. And that was the holy shit moment right there.
That's the kind of moment, though, that a lot of people look out there and they say, that's cool. Look, they got a reenactment going on, and then drive on by, and they don't realize they just saw a ghost.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. When I was running out there, there wasn't like, hey, I'm chasing a ghost regiment here. They were solid bodies, they were solid flags, and the sun was glistening off the buckles and the stuff that they had, and they were very real. And it wasn't much later. In fact, we were filming Ghost Lab. It was between season 1 and season 2. Barry and I went to Phenomenology, which was there in Gettysburg, and we found out, because we were trying to go and find the location, and someone told us, one of the reasons I know that was real was because they don't allow reenactors on the actual battlefields themselves. If those guys were caught, they would have been fined, thousands of dollars if they were really out there, which of course I didn't know at the time. In 1990, I had no idea that was the case. But, and they're serious about it, because when we were filming Ghost Lab, that episode, they wanted to see the field, and we did the story, and, we kind of parked next to the field. It's actually on Pickett's Charge. It's where Pickett's Charge is, if you've ever been up to Gettysburg. And there's a big statue. It's the Virginia Monument. It's General Lee on a horse. It's a big monument. It's on the other side of the Emmitsburg Pike, and is right in the field where Pickett's Charge had occurred. And so we got as close as we could, which was a neighborhood that's just right on the other side of the field. And we were standing on the sidewalk, and the park rangers were watching us like hawks. I kind of stepped over to the side off the sidewalk and put my foot on the grass. You know how you just kind of shift your body weight and whatever? They came over and they said, get your foot off that grass. You have to stand on the sidewalk. If I catch you on that grass anymore, we're shutting this whole production down. It's like, whoa, chill out there, freaking Barney Fife. But they're very serious about it. So that's how we know. It's like, man, the only time they allowed actors on the battlefield was for the movie Gettysburg, the one with Martin Sheen and the actual movie Gettysburg. That was the only time that they've allowed that. And funny story, we also heard there were some actors who were extras in that the battle, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 1863, bright, sunny, hot day. It was very hot July days. July 4th, it stormed really bad. Well, during one of the battles scenes that they were doing, it started to rain. Like a thunderstorm came up and it started to rain. Well, they had to stop the shooting, for one, for safety. Two, it wasn't historically accurate. But the actors were saying as they were dispersing and the lighting would flash, lots of actors around all over the battlefield, different parts of battlefields, directors and crew members, and they would say every time the lightning would flash, they could see what looked like the battle going on around them. And so again, there's lightning. We have a lightning theme here. But all these people at the same time who didn't know each other, different parts of the field, were having this claim out there. I'm telling you, Gettysburg is ripe for the pickings. Every time we go up there, it doesn't disappoint. Something weird always happens when we go up there, big or small.
Now, you guys have done Gatesburg quite a bit, haven't you?
We have actually. It's funny that I was when I filmed that in 1990, and then I went back when we did Phenomenology, which was between season 1 and season 2. That was the first time I had been back since 1990. But since then, we've probably been up there 15, 20 times, just different events, and we actually do a battlefield tour. We take I'm very, very, very into the history. I rent one of the tour buses that they have out there, and we get a bunch of people to come down, and we stay at one of the haunted locations. And on one of the days, on like a Friday, we'll take them out for a 4-hour tour. I'll tour the battlefield, and we'll go from the start of the battle to the end of the battle, and I'll kind of tell some of the ghost stories along the way. But it's more of a history tour that I'm the tour guide on the front of the bus with the microphone telling the story. We get out, we walk around. And our last place that we stop is where I caught that regiment. And we actually walk out into the field. And actually, Barry and I were up there just 2 weeks ago. We were there and caught some crazy stuff, which we're going to be coming out with, some video shorts soon. That's kind of married with the podcast that we're doing. That we're going to show kind of some of the stuff we got, and it blows you away.
Speaking of the podcast, I can't wait to check this out because I've always wanted to go to Lizzie Borden house, and I know that you're going to be covering and you're going to be talking about that. So that's really cool. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Very first episode comes out on Halloween. And we have so many to choose from, when we did Ghost Lab, before we did Ghost Lab, after we did Ghost Lab, there's so many investigations that we, can talk about. We have years and years of material that we just have to talk about. But we wanted something that was, a little bit, kind of Halloween-y, what you would think of Halloween, Lizzie Borden, the axe murder. But what we did, if you've ever seen that video or the Ghost Lab episode on season 2, we did a little bit, we do a lot of things a little bit different, but what we want to do is put her back on trial because our whole deal. Okay. Our whole deal. Okay. Our whole deal with, Lizzie Borden was the fact that she got away with it. She to us, she obviously did it. The evidence stacked against her. But she got away with it. So we wanted to put her back on trial and call witnesses and call her to the stand and call her father and call her mother to the stand. But we wanted to get someone who kind of knew how to go about interrogating a witness or doing cross-examination. So we knew an attorney in Florida, and we just took a shot. He was a trial attorney, and we said, "Hey, can you come up here and do this for us?" He said, "Sure." He read the 10,000 page transcript of the actual case itself. And he came up there and was cross-examining witnesses and whatever. And we got a response. And so what we're talking about on the podcast is, all the stories behind the story, some of the evidence that happened that didn't make the show, kind of our methods to our madness on that. When we were sleeping there, things that happened, kind of funny stories. And then we bring Jeff Arrowwood on, who's the attorney who we had brought up there to talk about his experiences and things like that. It's a really fun episode. Like I said, we're our podcast aren't asking questions and interviews so much. It's more or less a conversation. Like if we're sitting at a bar somewhere and someone is just eavesdropping on friends having recollecting their adventures. That's what this is, and it's a real fun podcast to make. And I tell you, it's really easy to make because, as you can tell, it's real easy for me to talk. I don't shut up sometimes. Say, end it, Brad. End the thought. And I can't end the thought. It just keeps going.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, that's what we're here for.
I'll let you answer that. And he kind of steals Mike's thunder. He's probably going to ask that anyway.
Yes.
Jackie, where was your favorite location and most active location? Well, let's see. So favorite location, I would have to say it was Alcatraz. And that was simply because of the logistics that it took to get out there. They had a barge that actually pulled up, and we unloaded we couldn't take the ghost lab over to the island. It actually stayed on the dock. So we had to kind of make a makeshift ghost lab over on the island, and the ferry pulled up and had the cranes, and it was pulling all the cargo on, and to get out there, and it was foggy, and the water was choppy, and it was kind of cold, even though it was in the middle of summer. San Francisco Bay is real cold. And actually being on the rock for 4 days, staying overnight, getting up at the crack of dawn and going back over to go to sleep and coming back, staying in the dungeon, and just the ambiance of Alcatraz, the history of Alcatraz, to be able to be there and experience that, to walk out onto the top of the rock at 3 a.m. when it's so foggy outside that the only thing you hear is that foghorn in the distance, and you can't even see your hand in front of your face. That's just cool. So I think that's probably my favorite place, and it's very, very active too. But the most active place, I would say consistently active, is the Myrtles Plantation, believe it or not. They call it the most haunted house in America, and it kind of lives up to its name. We've been there about 4 or 5 times. We did a Ghost Lab episode there. We've been there before. We've been there after, and every single time, just weird things happen. We've got great EVPs out of there. We've had experience where a rock was thrown at us in the foyer, in the main foyer. A rock at about 2 a.m. comes flying out of a room at us. There's no one in the house but us. And just being at an old southern plantation there in Louisiana, in the middle of the swamp. It's just very, very, very active place. We've got a lot of evidence from there. And when I say that, I'm like EVPs and video and photographs and personal experiences. We kind of have it all at that place.
You were kind of right on that one, Robin, like what you said a minute ago. But I do have another question I always ask. If you could go anywhere in the world and investigate, anywhere, where would you go?
The Rhodes Hotel.
The Rhodes Hotel. It's a great answer. Great answer.
Well, I've never been there, and you always talk about it, so I've never experienced it. But in all seriousness, so there's 2 places. One is like literally 20 minutes from my driveway. It's the Alamo. Us being Texans, and we're not only are we Texans, but we are actually we're not card carrying members, but we can be if we pay our $600 lifetime fee. We're sons of the Republic of Texas because our direct lineage, our 3rd or 4th great grandfather settled in Texas before it was a state. And so if you have direct lineage that has done that, you are in a club called the Sons of the Republic of Texas. If you're a girl, it's the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. So my daughters are daughters of the Republic of Texas. I'm son, Barry's a son, and it's a very prestigious thing here in Texas. In fact, the Daughters of the Republic of Texas were the ones who ran the Alamo. They're the ones who got Ozzy Osbourne banned from San Antonio for peeing on it. They're the ones. Unfortunately, they're the ones who've kind of kept paranormal investigation out of it, because if you've never been there, it's a shrine. You have to. They make sure you turn your cell phones off. You take your hat off when you walk in. You're reverent. You're silent. And it's just one of those places. It's guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's a very somber, it's a very cool place, but it's very important to Texans, and our attitudes and our egos, if you want to call it. That's where it all happened. But the second place is the White House, just because of all the stories that I've heard over the years. The Winston Churchill, whether he told the truth or not, he said he saw Lincoln's ghost when he was taking a bath there. He was taking a bath in the Lincoln bedroom, and he looked up, and Abraham Lincoln was standing there. A lot of people have claimed seeing Abraham Lincoln there. They see Dolly Madison. They see her out in the Rose Garden. They see all kinds of things. And you think about the history of that place, and not only the history of the White House, but think of the emotions that have happened in that place. I mean, the people who are in that house run the world. Let's be honest. That is a place where, world universal decisions are made, wars are fought. They're decided, just people's just it's amazing the kind of energy that must run through that place. Really like to, check that out.
I think that's probably a couple of the places that almost everybody says, especially the White House. That they all want to go to the White House. And I think that'd be a fascinating place just to go to do some stuff like that, just to check it out.
Yeah, now
really cool.
If you want to talk about overseas, out of the United States, I'd love to do like the Tower of London.
Oh yeah,
just because of that history and because of the stories that I've heard over the years. And these are all stories that I've heard when I was a little kid, reading in the books and stuff like that. So I'd like to go check those kind of places out too.
It's always
there's
interesting.
Not just one, there's many.
It's always interesting to hear, like, where people would go when you ask them, hey, what would be the place for you, that you would go to.
Right.
And yeah.
Now
that you told
me that I got to remember to ask you, but that Katie kind of got on your team a little bit different than the way she kind of mentioned it. So you guys share that with us.
So what's funny, because I was listening last week, and she kind of does. What she told you was the truth, but it was kind of like the politician's version of it. And we did know her prior to Ghost Lab. We knew. I'll tell you the story right now. And what I told her was, I said, tell it like it is, because the way it is such a cool story. It's like being at the right place at the right time. It really is. And so what happened? I'll take you back. We're Everyday Paranormal. We're doing our local investigations way prior to year or so prior to Ghost Lab. And Barry and I want to start doing video documentaries. Obviously, we do those all the time, but we wanted to do video documentary of our investigations and tell the story and, do everything that we do now, basically, but very, very amateurish back then. We'd had no camera skills. We didn't know anything about it. And so I put an ad in Craigslist, and I said, hey, anyone who's like a videographer who would like to join a paranormal team and, help us with this and editing it and all that kind of stuff. We didn't know anything about that back then. Let me know. Well, we got a call, and we met the guy at a local restaurant here. And his name was Mike. And Mike was a young kid. He was a brand new graduate of Full Sail University, which is like the kind of the top film school in the country. So he had a degree in cinematography, and we're like, oh, shit, yeah, he was interested. He's like, man, I'll help y'all out. I don't have to get paid. I like the paranormal. I kind of like to see this kind of stuff. So we were going around and filming stuff, and he was editing it. We were putting out these little short documentaries and stuff. Well, there was a place in San Antonio that, actually, the first time I actually met Katie was when I went over to Mike's apartment to drop off some video, and then Katie was there, and I had met her. That was the first time I had met her, because that Katie was Mike's girlfriend at the time. And so there was an investigation that we did at the GDC building, which wasn't an episode of Ghost Lab, but this was before Ghost Lab, where Katie she went with Mike, because Mike was there. She went there. Katie was doing some internships for that company, GDC, in San Antonio. So when we did the investigation there, some of the employees hung around and kind of watched us, and Katie tagged along with us as we were investigating. So, she kind of became a part of the home team at that point in time, because now we knew her. I met her. This is twice. She was part of the investigation and whatever. So now she starts hanging out. Well, we get Ghost Lab, right? We get the show. So very cool. Everything happens. We go scout locations, whatever. Shreveport Municipal Auditorium. I alluded to that a while ago. That was our first location. So we go there, meet the crew, do the pizza party, everything that I already talked about. And Katie had gone along with a ride, Mike, to hang out, to watch the film. Because, let me back up a little bit. Because what happened is, when we always tell people, if you help us out, we'll help you out. We're always like that. And we always told Mike, if we end up going somewhere, if something kind of big happens, we're going to take you with us. And so when this happened, when we got the show and Discovery Channel signed us on, we told the production company, this kid just graduated from Full Sail, and we want him on your crew. And so they made him an assistant cameraman on the show, which to a young kid right out of college to go immediately to a network television production crew is like going from Pop Warner football to the Super Bowl. And so he was cool with it and he was excited. And so he went, and Katie went along. And so we were getting ready to film. They had the Ghost Lab set up. We had all of our gear on. We were getting ready to go. At that time, we had more members on the show, on the team. You know, it was a little bit more. There was a few more people. And then right before the director and the producer said, okay, let's roll cameras. Let's go. Let's, action or whatever. They looked around and they saw Katie sitting there in a lawn chair. She was sitting there, eating a bag of chips or whatever she was doing, just there. And our executive producer, he goes, "Hey, do you have an extra Everyday Paranormal shirt, like a small one?" We said, "Yeah," because we had a bunch of shirts. He took it and he threw it to her and he said, "Put this on. You're on the show." And so she wasn't originally going to be on. She was just there to hang out. But we had known her. She'd been on investigation before. But it was like, boom. You're at the right place at the right time. They wanted someone to kind of counter us, and because here Barry and I are these big, boisterous, whatever, and so they wanted someone to counter us, and so they're like, hey, you could probably do it. So immediately, and you talk about nerves, going from I'm sitting here just minding my own business, then now all of a sudden I'm one of the cast members on a international network television show. is a lot to swallow. And so that's why I tell her, I said, that's the coolest story ever. I mean, I would how lucky can you be to be at the right place at the right time and that to happen. And another funny story is that when kind of the same thing happened, so we did Ghost Lab and all that. Barry and I about 2 or 3 years ago, we were filming. Probably 3 years ago, we were filming a sizzle reel because this was when A&E was trying to get in the game, right? So an A&E actually paid for development for a show for Barry and I to be on. It was about Texas, and so the crew was down, and we took 3 or 4 days, and we were filming this the sizzle reel for this A&E show that they were going to do. Right, it was right at the time that the new Ghost Hunters was going to come out. On A&E is when they bought all the old sci-fi episodes. So A&E was like ready to take on the paranormal and like own the paranormal, right? Well, we gotta see where that all ended up. But besides that, Katie had come down. She lives in California now, but she's from San Antonio. But she had come down, and she was hanging out again. And one of the producers of the show. His name's Mark, and he was the producer of the world's biggest ghost hunt, that one that she was on that was on A&E, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But he was there. He was actually producing the one, kind of helping produce the one we were on that we were doing a sizzle for. And at the last minute, it's like they needed someone on that show on the world's biggest ghost hunt. And again, she was kind of at the right place at the right time. I'm telling you, want to probably her to go buy you a lottery ticket.
It sounds like it.
And then so she, they asked her, she had the experience, she had been on a show, so it was easy for them to say, hey, this is your lucky day. This is our lucky day. Where you want to do this. And she hemmed and hawed around about it. She almost didn't do it for whatever reason, but she decided to do it because she was worried about, understandably, because I worry about the same thing with us, that if you do a television show, you can film it a certain way, but if they edit it a certain way or they do something, they can make you look foolish. And she didn't want that to happen. And so she was real nervous about that, but she ended up doing it. And, she was happy with it. And, and it was kind of her, now she was out from under the Klinge Brothers wing, and she was kind of out on her own, doing her own thing with this new group. And, and the rest is history. So now fast forward to today, when we've talked to Katie and all this entire time, for the entire 10, 11 years or whatever, we've never been out of contact with her, obviously. But we're like, hey, let's kind of get the band back together and we can still investigate and do those kinds of things. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk. We're going to have this podcast, and we want to talk about this stuff. And so she was game. Actually, I'm kind of back up just slightly about a year. Travel. We were talking with Travel Channel about doing a shock doc on Travel Channel, and we had there was an idea that we had that we wanted to do. We kind of have like the immediate in, the foot in the door already to networks where we can go kind of straight to the producers to talk, or the decision makers to say, hey, got the show idea. What do you think? They're always, oh, we love the Klinge Brothers. We love to do something with it. But what you want to do is cool and all, but it doesn't fit travel. We kind of want things that are scary, like real scary and zombie-like, and blood and guts and like that kind of thing. They want that like horror type scary, and what we were offering was more like Ghost Lab type scary, which to a lot of people is not real scary, but it's really, really interesting. You know what I mean? The stories are cool, and the evidence is cool, and the investigation itself is cool. They didn't like that, and that was at the point where we said, and Katie was with us on that, and Katie was actually kind of a part of that thing too. And then we're like, screw this. Television has gone a certain direction, and it ain't a train that we want to be on. So if it decides it wants to like make a turn around the bend, come back a little bit, and go in the direction where we like it to go, yeah, we might consider it. But after this point, we're like, no way. There's no way we're going to get on television again and kind of ruin the way we do things. I'm not saying that other people, whatever, maybe it works for them. It doesn't work for us. Bottom line. So that's when we were all together anyway for the shock doc, and we're like, you know what? And the wheels started turning, and it seemed like everything started to fall into place. So we got in ArcLight Media just happened to contact us because of a friend of a friend, we hooked up with some YouTube people who they do MMA fights, right? And they have millions and millions of subscribers. They're like, hey, we'd like to work with y'all on something, and we know the algorithms to make these things viral and whatever. So we're like, okay, cool. We'll go work with them. So now it's like we have all these people helping us, which we haven't had before. And that was one of the struggles that we've always had about, Robin, when I was up there a couple months ago, we were talking about that a lot of times we'd start things and we wouldn't finish them. Like we'd start it up, it'd be real good, but then it'd drop off. And the reason is because we have regular jobs, and to have to like produce everything from start to finish, to edit it, to put the sounds in, to making the phone calls, to finding the advertisers, to doing this, we just didn't have time to do it, and it would wear us out. So we give up. Now we have like this team of people who do all that for us, and the only thing that we have to do is be us. And that's why I said we kind of hit our stride, and this is a perfect situation where now this is
I think you're back. You kind of locked up for a second on you.
Yeah.
Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my internet keeps glitching a little bit every now and then, so sorry about that. I don't know if it's me or if it's y'all.
But yeah, I think the podcast is going to work out really well for you guys. I think we just maybe lost Brad.
Yeah.
Sounds like his internet. Everything's big in Texas except the internet connection.
Yeah. Hopefully he pops back up here in a minute.
Yeah, hopefully he'll pop back in and be able to join us and all to finish things off. But one thing that I was going to say something to him when he's on here, but he maybe you can still hear it. You can comment when he comes back. Then just watching the episodes of Ghost Lab today, and because I've seen them all before, and I was just turning back on, just kind of watching them again. One thing that those guys do is they debunk stuff like crazy, and it's just this kind of sums it up. So but throwing him under the bus.
Yeah.
Here, we'll send Barry a link and we can get Barry on then. So,
Yeah.
but one thing that those guys did, they always kind of, there he is, he's back. So,
There he is.
I could hear you, Robin. I could hear you talking about the debunking and stuff, but I couldn't say anything yet.
So yeah, that's what I thought. But I figured you could probably still hear. But yeah, that's the shows that you guys were doing. I was watching them today and again, and you guys were going. You always are debunking stuff and finding things, and just like the one episode I was watching there. I remember the cameraman was got in there and looked like a shadow figure, and you went in to find out. But I think that's the difference between the shows today and when you guys did them. You'll find out what that was. Today, even if they did find out, I think they kind of forget about that they found out.
Just leave it in there and let's act like it was something. Yep. All the time. Because they can't get around it with us, because as soon as we find out it's something, or our disappointment, we're like, oh man, it's like we're not going to play into the, hey, just pretend like it's real. It's like we wear our emotions on our sleeves, and then unfortunately that's bad because they catch everything that we do. Was good for us, but bad for them.
Oh, exactly. And but yeah, that's one thing is you guys are so true to life as far as what you're doing and all, because you pay attention to that stuff. Where some of these places will just like, oh well, just we won't bother to say it's that, or maybe something did push you down the stairs, and maybe you didn't slip on the stairs. You just kind of got pushed, and but yeah, that just drives me nuts.
Well, it's one of the reasons why sometimes we think that we had the fate, we suffered the fate that we did. I do recall on season 2, towards the end, there was an episode where they had a brand new producer on the show. We didn't know who he was, and they put Corey, who's a young kid, on season 2, and we were at the Hundley house in Carbondale, actually. And what happened is nothing happened the first night. And it's death to a show when nothing happens. You know what I mean? To me, it's okay because you can still talk about the history and whatnot. But nothing happened the first day, so they were a little nervous. And they said, hey, can Corey spend the night by himself in the house? And we asked Corey. He's like, yeah, cool. He just brought his Xbox in, and he was playing video games or whatever, and got something to eat and went to bed. Next morning, we show up to the location, and Corey comes running up to me, and he's like, Brad, the new producer guy is trying to ask me, like, if I heard anything or experienced anything last night. And I said, no. And he said, well, can't maybe you heard some footsteps, or maybe you can say you heard some footsteps. And right then and there, it's like his red flag came on. He went to me, and I went over to that producer, and I chewed him up one side and down the other. I said, if nothing happened, nothing happened. Get over it. We're not going to sit there and say we heard footsteps, because once you go down that rabbit hole, there ain't no coming out. And right. It's you good or bad. Like, some people told us, they said that we love your show, and we know your evidence is real because of how bad it is sometimes. And it's funny because it is. It's like, don't like fish and don't like birds, EVP. That's not very scary, but it's natural recording phenomenon. It's something that proves something that we theorize about, and just our techniques of how we get things, and showing, like in the Villisca axe murder house, we got the EMF spikes that occurred in a sequence that were where the murders occurred in the house. To us, that's big. And that's what we like, is that the paranormal is subtle. A lot of things are very subtle, and it's just kind of the oddness and the coolness of these types of things that happen that you can correlate with something like a voice or whatever. But it doesn't have to be the Night of the Living Dead, something coming out of the closet chasing you down the hallway with a butcher knife. Let's just leave that for the movies. But again, I digress.
So you guys got some events coming up and everything you're doing?
We do. In fact, what's today? Tuesday? Thursday, day after tomorrow, we leave at the ass crack of dawn to Green Bay, Wisconsin. But actually, it's up in Land O'Lakes, which is north of there. And Robin, I know you're going to be there. We'll see you in a couple of days, I guess. And there's a lodge up in Land O'Lakes that they're putting on this big event. There's like a pub crawl, and there's an investigation event. There's a VIP dinner, and from what I hear, Aaron Houdini, who we've known for years. He's up there now, and he does shows and stuff up there, and he's kind of the one that he lives up there now. He knows this place, and he knows all the casinos in the area. Apparently, there's a lot of buzz about this, Rob. I don't know if you heard it, but what when we go up there, we're going to do a lot of like news stations, radio stations, like a media type blitz. He said the town is just going to come out in force. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but you think about how remote that place is. I bet you they probably don't have a whole lot to do. So maybe around Halloween, this is probably a big deal for them. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it will be. And he actually sent me a message today and said there's a lot of talk about coming up and everything that's going on up there. So it's about an 8-hour drive for me, and so it's not horrible. Something you get kind of used to.
Yeah, 8 hours. You live in Texas. That's just like going to your neighbor's house. That's a normal drive somewhere.
It's not like the 16 that you drove coming up here, right?
Yeah, 17. I remember that. Boy, that was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal, especially when you're going to do that quick little EVP session and little paranormal investigation that one morning, and that turned into from 30 or 45 minutes like 4 hours.
Well, the problem is that stuff happened. So
Yeah.
you can't exactly. If nothing happened, we could have probably had the excuse to get out of there. But things are happening. We're like, oh God, we're going to be here for a while.
Always the case, isn't it? It's like when you want to get out of something, it's like nothing's going to happen, and it's like crap. Yeah, we had to leave. Now everything's going on.
But that's the case. That's another case of that was who does an investigation starting at 7:30 in the morning. And we got so much good stuff. So that was the Gacy investigation.
Yeah, on the Strange Curiosity. You guys still have those up on your website, or?
I believe they might still be on the website. I'm not sure. I was doing some work on the website the other day, so they were up there at that point in time. I'm not sure what happened, but once we kind of get this podcast and everything set, I'll get those somewhere. But I believe you can still get those. That's still on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Yeah, that's why I told some people that this weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
That you could go to Amazon Prime and get them, but yeah, that was a different one. And are you familiar with you remember the EVP she's talking about here on the Edmund Fitzgerald?
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. I love the EVP from Whitefish Point where you guys. So that one's really cool. In fact, Robin, they're gonna show this episode, the Whitefish Point one, up in Land O'Lakes, because that's right around the corner. It's not very far from where we're gonna be. But yeah, and let me tell you. I don't know if we're out of time, but I can tell you another quick story. It was really cool. So on that one, Barry and I. We're talking with the divers. They're the ones that run the museum, and they go out to all these shipwrecks and they pull it out. The Edmund Fitzgerald sank right off the coast there. In fact, that's in the song. The Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. He talks about they could have made Whitefish Bay if just another half a day or something like that. Mm-hmm. They sank right off the coast. Well, there's a lot of artifacts, and there's hundreds and hundreds of shipwrecks over 200 years that happened right off of there in Lake Superior. And this museum has artifacts from all these different wreckages. Well, we asked them, we want to go out to one of the wrecks and do an investigation on the wreck. We want divers. We kind of wanted to go down ourselves, but we want divers to go down and do investigation around like the closest wreck we can get to. And that was a shipwreck called the Myron. And it sank in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so they took us out there. We had the divers, and they had the submersible, the submersible submarines, and we put our EMF data loggers in watertight cases, and they took them down. We were watching, on the monitors, and it was really, really, really cool. But at the same time, it was during the day. There's, I think, like a daytime theme going on here. Katie and Corey were back at the museum, which was a mile back on shore, and they were investigating the museum, right? They got an EVP, and they didn't know where we were. I mean, we didn't tell them we're going on to the Myron and blah, blah, blah. They had no idea. We got back, and they're listening to this. They said, Brad, we got a really cool EVP. And Corey asked, where did you die? And a voice comes across very clear and says, on the Myron. Now, when they got that EVP, simultaneously we were diving on the Myron.
Hmm.
So of the 200 some shipwrecks that happened out there, they get an EVP says on the Myron, and we are literally on the Myron at the same time. Now, what kind of pissed us off about the way the producers kind of twisted that one around, when they played it as if they got the EVP on the Myron, and that's what sparked me and Barry to want to go to the Myron. And so
Okay.
you see how
Right.
the truth, the way it really happened, is actually a lot cooler than the way they want. But see, that when they do a show, they want A to equal B to equal C in a sequence. They can't. They're not. The people aren't going to understand that you were out there and they got this EVP on the Myron. Sure, they will, because that's the coolest thing ever. But it didn't play that way. So that's a little backstory about that particular EVP and that experience.
Yeah, there's always some strange cases. I know from talking to the others the same way. They, the cool stuff they don't tell you about. You never see it. Doesn't hit the episode. That's the stuff that just ends up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, so they only have so much time to tell the story, and that's like so involved. I think that they worry that people are getting confused, and how do they end that story? To them, it's they're trying to tell a story, and you're trying to do a paranormal investigation. Sometimes those don't mix.
Right. Yep. That's what I've been told too. Is like we had some really great stuff going on, but it didn't mix. It didn't make the story because it didn't go along with the story. It was completely off the wall. So they don't want it because it doesn't work.
Yep.
But now you're going to be out in Vegas too before too long.
Oh yeah. So that's in December. So you always think of December so far away. That's only like 60 days away. That we're going to be out in Vegas. Yeah, and then because it's early part of just like the 8th of December or something like that, whatever that weekend is. And then and I think jump to April, we're back out in Nevada at the Nevada State Prison in Carson City. So that's what we have on the books now. But there's a lot of other things that we're talking about right now that we're trying to get scheduled. We're going to do a lot of like seminar classroom type stuff and things of that nature. So be looking for that. Us and some of our friends, will be tagging along with us, and we'll see how that goes. But we're working on that as well.
That's cool.
I'll be seeing you in December.
Yeah, you're going to Vegas. You gonna take the? Are you going out to Vegas, Robin?
Nope, I'm not going to that one. Nope, I'm gonna stay home. Yeah,
you're not gonna haul the mystery machine.
I know we should, right?
Yeah, O'Neill said he couldn't afford it.
Yeah, the mileage on that one probably be pretty astronomical.
Yeah,
a couple thousand. So a couple thousand miles, something like that. So yeah, it'd be a little ways to go. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to coming up to Wisconsin this weekend and hanging out with you and your brother.
Yep. We will be there for probably 48, a little over 48 hours.
Yeah, I'll be up there I'm going to probably get in about the same time that you guys get, because I know you got about a 3-hour drive from Green Bay.
We land in Green Bay at about 1:30 in the afternoon, so we'll probably get up there about 4:30 in the afternoon or something like that.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. It's about 4 o'clock or so is what I told Aaron. I'll probably get that way.
All right.
So, well, Mike, you got anything else for Brad before we let him get out of here for the evening? And
I don't believe so. It's nice to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to figure out a way to get him up to Rose Hotel then.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. We got to set that up.
So, yep, that'd be good. So, Brad, I appreciate you coming out tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Good time, and sharing a lot of stories. I love the backstories. Those are my favorites. Just stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, we could probably do have a special podcast that's dedicated to nothing but backstories. Call it the Backstory Hour, but we have a lot of them for sure.
Well, you have to do it. So, thanks much. We will. I'll see you again this weekend.
Okay. All right. See you guys later.
All right.
See you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, it's always fun to have those guys on because they keep it so real. And
it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, rather than some of the stuff that they tell everybody what they want to hear instead of telling what they should hear.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice to do that. But I'll meet those guys up there this weekend, and that's about it. But yep, then we'll be together in a couple weeks. Then up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at the Comic-Con.
Yeah, Comic-Con. Yeah, another fun one coming up in a few weeks. Yeah, it'll be a good time.
So, yep. Well, I'm going to get out of here myself so I can go out and do
Sounds
something.
like a plan.
It's been a long weekend anyway. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it has.
but
Yep.
thanks for everybody for joining us tonight. Appreciate you guys. Next week we will be on here with another guy that's real familiar, and in fact Brad was talking about tonight with his place is Johnny Hauser.
Yep. Yeah.
It'll be fun talking to Johnny and with the Valeska axe murder house and all. Get some insight on that.
Yep. Another good time. We keep lining up more people, so guys keep tuning in and checking out the show. Please follow the pages. Follow Ashmore. We need like 50 more people to follow the page. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.